Now we're looking at a velocity graph here. But we can figure out the maximum velocity is just simply going to be this maximum value here, which to me looks like it's between 3 and 4, right? So that's 3.5 meters per second. Okay, and then our period looks like it's solidly 5 seconds, right? We start here, the beginning of a cycle, the end of a cycle. The end of 2 cycles is 10, right? So our period is 5 seconds, right? And then we got to figure out what x naught is. So let's figure this out, right? So our maximum velocity is omega x naught, and we know this from the data packet, right? If the x is that, then this thing out here, that's the maximum velocity. So it's omega x naught. By the way, you can also get it from this, right? X would be 0 at the maximum velocity, and then you'd end up with the square root of x naught squared, and you end up with omega times x naught, okay? Whatever makes sense to you, okay? So if the maximum velocity is 3.5, we just got to figure out what omega is, and then we can figure out x naught, okay? So omega is 2 pi over t. So that's going to be 2 pi over 5, okay? So 3.5 is 2 pi over 5 times x naught. So x naught is, like higher math here, right? Is 5 times 3.5 over 2 pi. Let's multiply the numerator and denominator both by 2 to make this pretty. Right, so that's going to be over 4 pi, and that's like higher math, right? Oh wait, no, it's not. It's 35. 2 times 5 is 10. Times that is 35 over 4 pi. Okay, so this is our maximum x, right? Okay, that's our x naught. This is our maximum. So this guy is 35 pi over 4. Okay, so an equation for its velocity, doesn't that look like negative sign? So I'm going to say that x, or v, is 3.5. That's the amplitude of it, right? That's our omega x naught, right? But it's the opposite of that, right? And that's meters per second times the sine of, and then what is omega? Omega is 2 pi over 5 times t. Does that work? You could try it with your calculator and graph it, right? It's definitely a negative sign, and it's going to have a period of 5. If we put in 5 for t, we'll end up with 2 pi. That'll be a whole period, right? Okay, so, I'm going to say that works, right? Okay, now we got to figure this out. Like, what is the equation for its velocity? Okay, what is the equation for its position? Okay, a little typo there, a little bitty typo. Okay, so what is the equation for its position? Okay, this is higher math. Well, okay, if v is negative sine, then what is I know it's going to be cosine, but is it positive or negative? Let's figure this out. Okay, for the position. Okay, so v is negative sine, so therefore x is going to be cos, right? If v is negative sine, x is cos. That's easy. Okay, so x is going to be cos, and we figured out that this was our maximum, our x naught, right? So it's going to be 35 over 4 pi cos, and then the omega is the same, right? 2 pi over 5 t. Now, does this make sense? Let's see. Cos would start off with, if we do this, the x. It's hard to do that, right? Because like, is it really a positive thing? It's hard to figure that out from this. Okay, so I'm just going to leave it at that. I don't have an intuition about that. So I'm going to stick with what's in the data packet. So, all right.